out, however. So at this point, what is your game plan as far as, are you going to try to hold this expansion by turtling, or are you looking to push out and cause a little bit of damage while you're trying to get this expansion?
Well, I'm checking out right now to see if you've expanded. I'm not finding one at this point, and I think my strategy is to try to contain you. I'm still warping in units at this point, I believe, and I'm going to try to keep you out of your main expansion there.
Yeah, and it looks like a couple cannons going down at your expansion here, so that's going to be pretty well defended. And of course, you got your own observer out here spotting my expansion, realizing that I have not yet expanded. And at this point, I know that you've expanded because obviously my observer was sitting over here. So I am aware that I need to make some sort of a timing push or attack at this point.
And where's your observer at this point?
Now, my observer is back in your main base. I do have a vision on your mineral line, which I realize you do not have any cannons back here. Or an observer of your own, at least not that I can see, since my observer is back here. And most of your tech is also right here. So what my thought is at this point is that if I can get some DTs back in your base, which I've started building my Dark Shrine already, it's actually almost done, and I do have a Warp Prism going back here. But I'm thinking if I can get some DTs back on your mineral line here, that there's not going to be much that you can do to stop it, at least not before I can cause some significant damage.
Yeah, that's definitely a major weakness for me right now, that I don't have any detectors other than that observer scouting your base.
Right, and at the same time, I realize that this base up here is, you have not broken down these destructible rocks here, and is not a likely expansion for you to check. So I thought I would try to sneak an expansion up here while I was flying by there with my Warp Prism. So throwing down a Nexus and a few pylons to defend that. And then, of course, using the mobile pylon field. Initially, I set it up a little bit too far outside of your base, but then, of course, moving up here just enough so that I can get a little bit of my pylon radius inside your base here, and then warping in those DTs. Now, at this point, you've got a lot of buildings coming in here. You've got a Stargate, another gateway, and it looks like you're starting to warp in.
Well, this is going to be a major problem for me. I can see right now.
And it looks like probes starting to go down immediately. Again, DT's one-shot probes, so each swing that a DT takes is taking down a probe. And I'm able to take down that cannon too before it comes up, so that you do not have any detection back in your main right now. Now,
and I don't know if this is something that you noticed, but I was pretty careless with my observer in your base just a few minutes ago, and it's actually killed right now, so I have no detection at this point.
So you actually lost the only observer that you had, which was also, in addition to that cannon you're trying to get up, the only detection that you had back at your base right now.
And if you look at my Robo Bay, you'll see that I have one almost completed at this point.
It's nearly,
but I was not able to get it in.
3/4 done. And it looks like you're going to move out and try to do a little bit of a counterattack. However, I do have a pretty sizable force sitting on this ramp here, so there's not a whole lot of damage you can do at this point. At least not to my main.
I was able to scout those cannons in your main base, and I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to squeeze in there. So I think I'm just trying to figure out, does Dave have an expansion at this point? And I'm not able to find one.
And it looks like you still are unaware of the expansion up in the top left here, as you can see that you do not have that on your mini-map. But of course I'm throwing down some photon cannons there, because since this is so far away from my base, it is not going to be easy for me to defend. But my DT's, of course, still doing a lot of damage.
And it looks
back
like my observer's building. Will I be able to squeeze it out before you take that pylon down?
Oh
and
my
I am
goodness.
not able to.
So close.
And at this point, I'm trying to build tech frantically in my expo, because I know that you're demolishing all of my tech at this point.
Yeah, it looks like some gateways going down and a forge. So hoping to build some more cannons. You do have 3 here, which is plenty to hold off the DTs that I have, and you do have another cannon outside of your ramp here, so I'm not going to be able to get down into your main. And it looks like you are going for this destructible rocks here. Did you know that I had a base up there?
I
or were you
actually
just
had
trying
no
to...
idea. I just had checked all the other expansions, and I could not find where you had expanded at, and I knew that you weren't a noob and you would have expanded by now, so I said, maybe he's up here.
And indeed, you are right, as you come up here and see that I have expanded up in this area. Unfortunately, I have not been able to macro up enough probes for this expansion to pay for itself yet, so you taking this expansion down here is going to be a big hurt for me. Although I do have a decent amount of cannons, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get that. Although my Warp Prism coming in here, I'm going to try to warp in some more forces, but your Stalkers are able to focus fire that down, so that is unsuccessful. And this base, it looks like, is going to go down to the combined fire of your Stalkers and Sentries. Although I did manage to do a little bit of damage, and you apparently throwing down a force field on this ramp.
I was a little concerned that you were going to try to squeeze your DTs into that base to take me out. I didn't have an observer, so I thought, you know what, I'm just going to, just in case.
Fair enough. And as you can see, the DTs have cleaned up your entire main base with the exception of these items out here at the ramp. There is one cannon and a second one going up right now, and it looks like you've decided to take another expansion over on the right side of the map here.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, at this point, we've traded my main base for your expansion, and I'd say at this point you've got the better exchange there.
Yes, this is very true, and especially because you actually lost most of your tech tree at this point, and my tech tree is untouched because you were able to kill my expansion, but there was only Nexus cannons and pylons there. So although I did lose a lot of buildings and resources, I did not lose my tech tree, and we can actually see on the units lost here that you have lost more units and you have lost a lot more resources than I have.
Exactly. And another thing that you did to me by taking out my expansions, you killed the majority of my pylons, the majority of my supply. And for a while there, I was supply blocked. I wasn't able to build any more units.
And it looks like I'm moving out on the map here through the middle. Some DTs in the mix with my Zealot, Stalker, and Sentry army moving up into your main here. And you've only got a few Zealots and a few cannons to defend this off, it looks like.
Yeah, this is not looking good for me right now.
This could be GG. And focus firing the cannons down. You're trying to warp in some units right now. 3 Zealots not going to be enough, though, to take this army on, it doesn't look like. And this could be, although you do have 4 Zealots sitting up here not doing anything, I'm not sure what that's all about.
I actually did not even realize that.
And you have your expansion up, it looks like, but preoccupied with the that's taking care of this attack.
Leaving those Zealots up there, that's the new move of the game.
And throwing down some force fields, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. That did slow my Zealots down, but my army at this point is primarily ranged between Stalkers and Sentries, so that not having as big of an effect as I'm sure you would have liked to at this point.
Yeah, and it looks like it's probably going to be GG soon for me.
All the cannons going down, all you have left here is a few Sentries and Zealots left over, and those quickly going down as well.
So it looks like your DT drop there was a very, very good strategy. And also, I think throwing that Expo up in the hit over in the area over here, where protected by the rocks, was a good strategy on your part.
Yeah, that was definitely something I was trying to do to trick you up. Is if you can get a secret expansion, although I didn't have it for as long as I would have liked to before you discovered it. Secret expansions, and there's the GG, but secret expansions are great for getting a little extra money and throwing your ally off their game, especially if they're blocked by destructible rocks, as this one was.
And I wasted a lot of time looking for that expansion, and that might have been the reason you won the game.
Absolutely, that TD drop was the game changer for me.
GG, my friend.
GG.